everyone. Welcome to our live, all about an IMG's journey to US MD residency. May I welcome Dr. Avanthika today, who will be our speaker. She has done a huge amount, and today she will be talking about research importance, top tips for building your CV, discovering what's required for US MD residency, and how you can maximize your career development. And this is just a bit about Dr. Avanthika before we start. There's a lot of information here because she's so accomplished and she's done so much. So I'll let you have a read of it, but she's done lots of research. She's got a huge interest in pediatrics. And she's also been involved in one of India's largest question bank and clinical app for medical students. And she's also the co-founder of the Safe Space, which is a free 24/7 anonymous support helpline for young kids and adolescents to advocate for better mental health and well-being of children worldwide. And she loves traveling, writing poems, and she's also had many publications.
Okay, so today's talk will be about the roadmap to US MLE and residency. So I'm, like Charlotte said, I'm a pediatric residency applicant. I'll be applying for my pediatric residency match in this upcoming cycle of 22-23. So I'm done with my US MLEs. I'm done with my step 1, step 2, my OET, the occupational English test, and I've been certified by the USFMG. So my application is pretty much ready, almost. I'm also working on a couple of US clinical experience. I have some in the past, and I've done a lot of publications in pediatrics. So yeah, I'm really excited to share on how exactly we can start the US MLE journey and how you can actually start working towards being USFMG certified, and regarding residency applications, regarding the NRMP match. So these are like so many questions that I get on my Instagram every day. A lot of people ask me, like, when do you start your journey, and how did you realize that this you want to do the US residency as compared to like in other countries, or like what really made you choose pediatrics as a specialty? So these are a lot of questions that I get asked on like a day-to-day basis. So yeah, so I'm really excited to actually go ahead and like talk to you guys about it, and we can have an interactive Q&A later on so that you guys can ask me any questions that you have regarding this, and I'll be more than happy to help. First off, like a really common question that most of us have is that how do we start, or rather when do we start the US MLE journey? So the right time to start is actually any time, because honestly, in my own like friend circle or in like my med school, I've seen people applying for the US residency match right out of med school, and I've seen people who are like 10-year-old graduates who have graduated 10 years ago and have worked in a different specialty in the past, and then they realized they didn't like it, and then they decided to switch over the specialty. They wrote the US MLEs, and then they got matched. So honestly, there is no perfect time. It's never too late to start. Like, that's pretty much what I want to say, because a lot of people think that, oh, you know what, you need to start it in your 3rd year of med school, or else you really cannot go ahead with this journey. And that's not true, because like I said, a lot of people who are really old graduates do end up getting matched into residency. So it's never too late to start. But an ideal timeline, if you're preparing early and you know that you want to go ahead with this, would be in the 3rd year of med school. So 3rd year of med school would be an ideal time for you to take up your step 1 exam. Your step 1 US MLE is an exam that tests your basic sciences. So basic sciences is like your biochemistry, your physiology, your pathology, and your microbiology, things that you'll be learning in your 1st and 2nd year of med school. So this will be tested in your step 1 exam, and it's really easy if you take it, in your 3rd year of med school, because you're just finished studying those subjects. So you'll have a pretty good grasp of like the subjects rather than taking it later on. So this would be like an ideal timeline to take your step 1 in your 3rd year of med school, and to take your step 2 after your final year of med school, because step 2 CK, or the step 2 clinical knowledge, is an exam that tests your clinical sciences. That is your medicine, your surgery, your OBGYN, your pediatrics, your ortho, and basically everything that you'll be learning in your final year. So it's a good idea to take it after your final year of med school, because then again, you'll be super fresh in those subjects and you can do well in that exam. But like I said, many IMGs or international medical graduates do start their journeys later on. And some of them even started after completing their home country residencies in that particular subject. So there is never a right time and it's never too late to start. So what are the pros of applying earlier? And what is like the advantage of actually applying as soon as you graduate from med school? So the reason a lot of people advise this is because a lot of programs in residency have something called a YOG, or the year of graduation filter. So what this filter does is really, so again, like because there are like thousands and 10,000s of people applying for like 10 spots in residency, the competition is quite high. So they do have like filters for like your step scores. They have filters for your year of graduation. So they have filters to like filter out applicants so that they can interview a small pool for that one spot. So the YOG filter is basically either 5 or 3 or sometimes even 10 years. So it cuts off like applicants who have graduated more than 3 years or more than 5 years or more than 10 years ago. So this filter might be a barrier if you have graduated a long time ago as compared to a fresh graduate. So you might not be eligible to apply to some programs, or some programs might filter you out and you might not get an interview at those programs. But then again, this isn't a hard and fast rule. There are a lot of programs that don't have this filter and you can still apply being an old graduate. But the biggest pro of applying earlier is that you have a large variety of programs to apply to, since you don't really have to worry about the year of graduation filter. And again, like even if you have a year or two gap after your graduation, make sure that you do not have any clinical gaps. So by clinical gaps, I mean, make sure that you're always working clinically. Either you're working in a hospital or you're working in any outpatient clinic, or either you're volunteering somewhere. Just make sure that you're working in the healthcare field or the healthcare sector, so that you're in touch with the medical field and about like in touch with the latest treatment protocols. So no, they don't have a reason to feel that, you're not as competent as, someone who just graduated. So make sure that you don't really have any gaps. That's like my advice if you're like an older graduate of someone who was finished med school like maybe 3-4 years ago. And like I said, a lot of people apply for the after the residency in home countries. And the advantage of that is that it actually really holds a value if you specialize in the same field. For example, the field that I'm applying to, that is pediatrics, some universities do prefer it if they're if like the people who are applying have already finished their MD pediatrics in their home country, because it really shows that they've already, they have a higher level of knowledge and training as compared to someone like me who's a fresh graduate. So that actually carries another advantage. So there are pros and cons of applying early and applying late, or applying after you do your post-graduation in your home country, as well as applying directly after med school. So it really depends on, again, what specialty you want to apply for and how the programs are and how strict or how lenient they are with the year of graduation filters. So usually the way you can figure this out is by going on the program websites. Every program for every possible subject has a page on their website that gives you a list of like, the expected scores, whether they have like a preferred year of graduation and other requirements. So you can go ahead and check them out, do your own research, and then figure out if you want to apply directly after med school, we want to finish your home country residency and apply. So how would you start the USMLE journey? So if you want to begin your USMLE journey and you're a complete beginner, so the first thing you need to do is to apply for a USMLE ID on the ECFMG website. So the ECFMG is the Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates. So go to www.ecfmg.org and apply, just click on register and apply for USMLE ID. It's pretty simple, but it does take a week or two for you to get your USMLE ID. And that ID is going to remain with you throughout your USMLE journey. So make sure that you're putting in your right credentials, an email ID that you're going to be using throughout, and your name and date of birth and your passport. So make sure that you put in your right credentials and then apply for the USMLE ID. So once you register and you get your ID, and you don't really have to pay anything to get the ID, it's for free, you can begin the process of verification, which is called the Form 186. So the Form 186 is something called the Notary Verification Form, and that is done online through the Notary Cam. So there's a fee for that. It's $150, and you need your passport and working webcam on your laptop to be notarized. And once you're done, you are eligible to take your STEP exams anytime you want. So make sure that once you get your USMLE ID, you complete the military camp step, and then once you're done with that and you're verified by them that you're a legit person and your passport and your name, there's no problem with that, and you've provided all the correct details, you can apply for the step exams anytime you want. There's no rush. It's not that, okay, as soon as you finish it, you need to immediately apply. So yeah, you just have to finish these two processes, and then you're eligible to write the USMLE exams.